So we're supposed to do a video on the TED Talks that we watched for class. So the first one that we watched was, I think, done by, last name was Wu Dun. She was mainly talking about girls' education. I think that was kind of the focus of these videos that we watched. In the first, she mentioned a few different problems and challenges that go along with this, and also some solutions. The first problem was, gender inequity or gender inequality. And she said the reason why people think this is because they believe that women are the problem instead of the solution. That's why they kind of get mistreated, and people don't really think highly of them in different countries. Here in the United States, we kind of think of them differently, and we appreciate them. But in other countries, they believe that they are part of the problem instead of solution. And the second problem was they, I guess what they believe is that the best way to fight poverty, because of like the overpopulation. If you have overpopulated people, then your poverty increases. So they believe that the best way to fight poverty is actually to end terrorism, is to educate girls and bring women into the labor fields. Because once a girl is educated, she's going to have fewer and fewer kids, which that doesn't always happen with the male, because we know that women are the ones that have the children. So they believe that with the education of girls that the population will decrease, productivity will increase, which will help with poverty because we're not spending for so many children to live, and the hunger will not be as prevalent. And so that was the reason why they gave that, is just because they believe once these girls are educated that there won't be an overpopulation, that they will be able to provide for girls. Oh, well, they will in their different countries. And then something that was kind of interesting to me while I was watching this video is that those that are poor and are in poverty, this is what education helps with. This is they don't use their money wisely. The little money that they have, they actually use it unwisely. 2% of it, it was a statistic that she gave in her video, was 2% is actually given towards education. That $2 a day that they get was actually 2% was put towards education, and 20% towards things like alcohol, tobacco, what else, like sugary drinks, and like festivals were a few things that she mentioned. She said that if they were to take just 2% of that and put it into education, that it would help substantially, that exponentially. It would help so much in the education of these children and these girls, so that they could get out of this poverty situation. And also another interesting thing was actually that males are the ones that actually are the ones consuming this alcohol and tobacco and sugary drinks. They're the ones that cause kind of the biggest problem with the money situation. They use the money in poor ways. They don't use it the best way that they could. There's a few other challenges that she mentioned as well. That there's sex trafficking, which is very bad. Another challenge is maternal mortality, and the reason being is because, one, it's females that are involved in maternity, and like I said before, they think they're part of the problem and not the solution. And another thing is that they're poor and they're in rural areas, so they're kind of stuck in a tough situation. And she mentions a few different solutions. one being education and the other one economic opportunity. So as we educate children and as girls, they actually help the economy there. She gave a few examples of two different girls that actually were able to go work and actually gain an education, and then were actually able to help their communities and their families and others to succeed and to keep going on. And there was another guy that mentioned that the highest return in developing worlds, or the biggest gain that people get, is from the girls' education. Once girls are educated, then that's when they receive, or they get the most productivity and the most advancement. She gave us a few reasons as to why we should want to help these people in other countries, because she said most of us here actually have the needs that we need for every day. She said the only way that we can actually gain happiness is, statistics have shown that the only way to gain more happiness is actually helping others to receive that as well, because we once we've reached our needs, the other things don't really bring us happiness. Then we watched another video that was, I actually can't remember his name, but he talked about how, because like with the development, obviously people in other countries don't. He used the example of a washing machine, and obviously there are more electrical things that help us in our everyday activities. But he mentioned the washing machine because these women are spending so much time, a lot of their life, just washing clothes, and it's taking up a lot of their time, which this is bad. And if these women were able to, he's hoping that in the near future, by 2050, that most of the people will be able to use these washing machines, which will then give them more time to do other more productive things like reading books, and gaining a better education. He used the example of his mom that once she had the washing machine, she was able to read more books. All the kids were able to read more books, and as a result, they were able to gain a higher education. So, in conclusion, there's a few different things that cause inequality amongst men and women, and a lot of it has to do with our views of women and what they're capable of. I think, as on a world standpoint, we have the idea that women just kind of have their little roles, and they don't really contribute to society other than kind of having kids and rearing them, and then that's about it. But actually they do a lot of things for society and actually help us to grow and develop. And so yeah, these are just a few comments and ideas that I had as I watched the movie, or the videos, I guess you could say.